Good evening to you all. This is Veer Maheshwar Charitable Trust organized daily international webinar series. In this series, we have invited the speakers from all over the India and abroad also. In this series, we are listening new topics from every day with new resource person. In this series, today we have invited Dr. Shobha Thakur Madam, who is Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Shouts, ये शहर का नाम है और she will speak on renewable energy and environmental sustainable development goal. So this topic is related to all the participants and all the citizens of the India and abroad also, because we need the renewable energy for achieving the environmental sustainable development goal. What the points she have collected, she will deliver here her topic on renewable energy and environmental sustainable goal. I request today's resource person, I welcome today's resource person, Dr. Shobha Thakur Madam, and all the participants, those who are joined here, and I request resource person to start her speech. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much, sir, for introducing myself. I am Dr. Shobha Thakur, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Shuats University, Prayagraj. I have to join my job in the 2011 as in the Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, IIT. Recently, and now we have to join on the Shuats in the 2016, and currently I have to do the work in this university as in the senior skill assistant professor. I have gotten the approximate seven national achievements from the different NGOs and the two international NGOs, and I have to gotten to the achieve approximate 29 national papers and the 6 international journals. This is the approximate 8 or the 9, sorry, 9 books are be published on the national books and the 2 books in the international publication house. So we have to talk today on the renewable energy and the environmental sustainable development goal. Firstly, we have to talk about what is the renewable energy and its role in the achievement environmental sustainable development goal, where the world is facing the 2 major challenges. First is the climate change and the resource depletions. Renewable energy provides the solution of the both. But as we know, there is the renewable energy. What is the energy? The energy is defined as the ability to the work, which is ability to ensure the force duplication of the object. That means कि generally energy what is? Energy is the capacity to the work or produce the challenge, which exists in the various form and can be transformed to one to another. It cannot be created, not to destroyed. We have to earlier educated or we have to learn in the law of the conservation of the energy. So if it is neither be created nor be destroyed, so what it can be easily transformed in one form to the another. For example, the kinetic energy in the form of the energy of the motion, the moving car, flowing water, all the examples of the kinetic energy. The potential energy, where the stored energy due to the position of the configuration. For example, water in the dam, stressed spring. That is the example of the potential energy. Like that, the thermal energy, where the energy relate to the heat. Relating to the heat, the most example, common example, boiling of the water, the sun's heat, All are the thermal heat examples. The chemical energy, where the energy is stored in the chemical bonds, where we have to use in the fuels, in the food, where the we have to accumulate it. ठीक है? Electrical energy, where the energy is from the electrical charges. For example, the electricity in the homes. Nuclear energy, where the energy released from the nucleus of the atoms. Mechanical energy, where the mechanical energy is very important, because in the mechanical energy, the combination of the kinetic and the potential energy in the mechanics, where we have to use. So all the energy, the overall all the energy which can be show the renewable, where the climate change which is depends on the resources adaptations. So the renewable energy is centered to the human progress, but the world's heavy dependence on the fossil fuel has created the multiple challenges, including the global warming, air pollution, etc. And to address these issues, renewable energy has emerged to the critical solution, directly support to the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, which is known as in the SDGs, and particularly those related to the environment and the climate change. Next. So we have to show the what is the sustainable energies. So before the sustainable energy, we know that what is the energy? Energy is classified into the two types. First is the non-renewable energy. For example, the fossil fuels, coal hai, oil hai, natural gases, all are in the fossil fuels. Nuclear energy, and the limited in the supply and can harm in the environment. The energy which can be harm the environment, known as in the non-renewable sources, but which cannot be harm the environment, which can be restore the environment. For what? We have to using the SDGs. That is called the renewable sources. For example, the solar, wind, hydro, biomass, geothermal, naturally replacing and the environmental friendly. So that's why we have to repeating for the renewable energies. So energy is very important. Generally, energy is very important because the powering of the homes, industries, transportations, driving technologies, economic developments, all are depend on the energy. If the transportation are not be क्या कहते हैं possible, there is not possible for the development of the energy. Development of the country. If the country is not developed, there is no motion. So like that, the all where energies are very needful in the form of the electricity, in the form of the movement transportations. So we have to using the energies. So renewable energy refers to the energy derived from the naturally replacing sources such as the sunlight, wind, water, biomass, geothermal. Unlike the fossil fuels, these resources are the virtually unexist, emit the minimum greenhouse gases, and they have lower ecological footprints. These adoption not only the mitigation climate change, but also ensure the long-term energy securities. Here we have to see some example of the renewable energy. But further we have to discuss about all the kind of the, for example, the what is the hydro energy and the biomass energy and the geothermal energy. But before that, it is very important that we know that what is the sustainable development goals, because the most direct linkage between the renewable energy and the sustainable development goals is through the SDG 7. SDG 7 is called the affordable and the green energy. The affordable green energy means the goal aims to ensure the universal access to modern, reliable, and the sustainable energy before the 2030. Before the 2030, we have to ensure that all energy made by or the universal access to the reliable and the sustainable energy. Renewable energy technologies like in the solar home system. Recently, it is very popular in the Indian cities. It is very important. Wind mini grids, very increasable. It is using the powering and the ruler understood the communities and the reducing the energy's poverty and the improving the living standards, which access to the green energy also enable progress in the education, healthcare, and the economic development. Demonstration the cross-cutting benefits of the renewables. The another SDG is very important, that is the SDGs 13. ठीक है सस्टेन बिफोर क्या कहते हैं प्लीज शो इन द पीपीटी थर्ड because we have to discuss about the SDGs, that is climate action. Here we have to discuss climate action, hydro energy, geothermal energy, the climate action, the fossil fuels where the minimize of the carbon action. Fossil fuels combustion is the largest contributor to the global greenhouse gas emissions, and transition to the renewable energy is one of the most effective strategies to reduce the carbon footprint and the meet the global climate targets, such as the outlines of the Paris agreements. For instance, large scale solar and the wind projects significantly cut the emission while providing the sustainable electricity. Recently, we have to see in metro cities, mostly in the metro cities, they have to dependent on the solar energy. They have to dependent on the wind energy. They have to minimize the use of the thermal energies, because thermal energy after the one level it is might be the very क्या कहते हैं risky for the humans. So whenever we have to use for the SDGs 12, Sustainable Development Goal 12, the known as in the responsible consumption and the production, by promoting the efficient resources use, biomass energy, which is derived from the agriculture and the organic waste, reduce the landfill pressure, and contribute to the circular economy. Similarly, the hydropower and the geothermal projects harness naturally cycles to produce the energy with the minimum waste. As usual, the Sustainable Development Goal 15 show the life on the land, which show the life on the land, and the Sustainable Development Goal 14 is show the life below the water. Whenever we have to see or we have to assume the life on the land and below the water, as in the clean energy system, help reduce air and water pollutions, acid rain, and the ecosystem degradation caused by the fossil fuel extraction and the burning, and the contributes to biodiversity conservations and the healthier ecosystems. The benefits of the renewable energy extend beyond the environmental potential. Economically, renewable industry generate the green jobs in the manufacturing, installation, maintenance. So the socially deconservation of the renewable system empower local communities by making them self-reliant and the energy production. For example, if we have to see in the India, International Solar Alliance promoters solar adaptation in the development nation, while the cost rate has achievers nearby the 100% renewable electricity generations, and setting on the global example. This is the biggest example for the world. However, the challenges remains the high initial investment cost, technological gap in the energy storage, and uh, there are the multiple issues for the solar and the wind required. Further, the innovations. So the policy support, international cooperation, and the public-private partnerships are the very essential to scale up renewable development on the developing the globally. For the global development, it is very important for the sustainable development. Next, so firstly, we have to need the concept, the pillars. what is the pillars of the renewable energy which develop. So concept of the renewable energy, for example, if we have to see in the definition of the renewable energy, from the resources that are the naturally replenising, for example, the solar, wind, hydro, biomass, and the geothermal, reduce the carbon emission. If the carbon emission is reduced, the mitigation and the climate change and enhance the energy resources and this energy security by reducing the dependency on the important fuels. So create the green jobs in manufacturing, industries, installations, maintenance, etc. So whenever we have to see in the solar, the community next, what is the energy form of the sun captured using the PU, that is the photovoltaic panels or the solar thermal systems, where it can be used by the electricity generator, heating water, solar cookers, and the lamps. There are the multiple advantages of the that is the solar energy, where we have to adapt the clean and the suitable for the both large and the small scale uses. It can be the limited. Recently, it can be the limited because the dependent on the sunlight, because if the sunlight is not be adopting the energy, neither we created. High initial installation cost, initially it costing high very, and that requires the storage system like the batteries are very high. For example, in the wind energy, whenever we have to see in the wind energy, yes, energy produced by the converting the kinetic energy into the wind, into the electricity using the wind turbines. Generally, we have to use for the electricity generating in the outsource and the onshores of the offshore wind farms. There are the multiple advantages. Clean sources, resources are be very clean, scalable, and the, can generate the large amount of the power. But it can also be the very limited because it dependent on the wind speed. If the speed are be below or the low, very low, so then the energy neither not be generated, may affect the bird habitats and the requires the large land or the sea area nearby the sea. It is very essential. If we need the wind energy, then we have to locate on the nearby the seas, because in the nearby or the bond or क्या कहते हैं, bank bond of the seas, it is easily generate the high speed of the winds. So the like that the hydropowers or the water energy, it is very useful. Energy obtained from the movement of the water, usually through the dam or the run of the river system. And it is used for generate the electricity, irrigation support, and the flood control. Because it is made the electricity in the way or the place where the quantity of the water or very high or the nearby the rivers are be the flowing of the rivers are very high. So there are the multiple advantages, that is the reliable, efficient, and can provide the both energy and the water management. But it can also be the limitations. For example, can damage the river ecosystem, automatically it can be damaged. Replace the communities, and it can be a location of the dependent. Next is the biomass energy, the energy which is generated from the organic matters like the agriculture residue. Generally in the recent time, the biomass energy are also in the very techniques are be very used, because the production of the electricity, production of the heat, we have to see some the energy or the electricity generated by the biomass of the gobar gas, generally known as in the gobar gas. We have to see the some energy are be released by the nala. Okay, the wastage gas of the different sites of the wastage agriculture waste, which is the reduce landfill pressure and can be located resources. It is very, for example, we have to make the ethanol. Generally, it is very useful, and in advanced technology, agriculture make the ethanol by the agriculture waste, and the agriculture waste, the residue of the agriculture waste also be reused. So that means, firstly, we have to make the agriculture, and after that, the waste of the agriculture are using for making the ethanol, and again the wastage, the क्या कहते हैं, refined or the known as in the क्या कहते हैं, solid waste, which is remain the solid waste, is used further making the some products. ठीक है, fresh थैलास or something else. So we have to using the वैसे biodiesels also the very common example for making the biogas energy. So there are many multiple advantages. For example, utilize the waste material, reduce the landfills, pressures, and can be located of the resources. Limitations of the biomass energy is the may produce the emission if not properly managed. The main reason, and requires the large amount of the biomass and can compete with the food crops. So if the quantity of the agriculture waste is the minimum, so not be possible. But next is the geothermal energy. The energy derived from the natural heat of the earth, often by the tapping the underground hot water and steam revolves. It generally it is used for the electrical generation and the direct heating applications, where we have to generally see in the greenhouse buildings. So it is used for the geothermal energy. It is the continuous process. Because of the continuous process, reliable energy supply, low emission, and the very efficient. The location are very specified, because when the setups are be setting, so it can neither not be changed and neither be created on the another place. High drilling cost and the risk of the surface instantaneously. So the generally we have to use the geothermal in the very minimum quantities. Generally used in the solar energy and the wind energy are the very popular. Somewhere we have to use in the tidal and the waste energy, where generally we have to use in the ocean or the tidal and the wave energies. The energy which is the from the ocean tides, wave, and the thermal uses for the making the energies. They are the electricity generation in the coastal regions, and predictable and the vast potential, especially for the island nations. Still in the development stage, high cost and may affect the marine ecosystem. So generally we have to see the lots of the energies, and because of the kinetic potential and the geothermal stages, so there are the mechanical energies, kind of the energies, the number of the energies potentials are be created. So the renewable energy resources are essentially alternatives to the fossil fuels, offering environmental, social, and the economic benefits. Solar and winds are the currently in the fastest growing due to the falling cost and the wide applicability. Hydropower remains the largest renewable sources globally, but the face ecological concerns. Biomass is the very important for the rural areas, where the agriculture residue and the abundant geothermals and the ocean energy hold on the great promise, but are limited by the geography and the cost. So here we have to see कि lots of the energies are be renewables, means the carbon emissions are be very low. But the most effective way to ensure the energy security, reduce the carbon emission, and achieve the sustainable development goals. So the some examples, if we have to see in the solar panels, converting the sunlight into the electricity. Somewhere we have to using the wind turbines, generating the power from the moving airs. Sometimes we have to see in the biomass plants, convert the organic waste into the energy. So, uh, so we have to see the renewable energy and the sustainable development. Two types. First is the direct sustainable goals. Direct sustainable goals are the two. That is the sustainable goal 7, which is the affordable and the clean energy. And the Sustainable Development Goal 13, that is called the climate action. But the indirect sustainable goals, which is the three, which called the good health. Sustainable goal 6, which calls the water and the sanitization, that is called the renewable powered pumps and the desalinations. Sustainable goal 8, which is called the economic growth and the jobs. And the sustainable development goal 11 cause the sustainable cities. And how we have to make the sustainable cities when the pollutions are be decreased. How the pollutions are be decreased? Whenever we have to use the climate change and the reducing their pollution by the causing of the energy, because mostly we have to use the car. And if we have to using the car, electricity sorry, क्या कहते हैं, pollutions are be increased. If we have to using the electricity in the form of the AC, in the form of the any electric vehicle, so we have to see some carbon are be released, and due to the heavy carbon, the pollutions cities are be polluted. So for the sustainable development, it is very mandatory. It is the development approach that meets the need of the present generation without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. It balances the economic growth, environmental protection, and the social well-beings. So generally, some keys are used for the sustainable development. For example, we have to see in the sustainable development. So first is the economic sustainability. Sustainability in the economic form. For the economic sustainability, we have to see promotes the growth and the innovation. How we have to promote the growth and their innovation in the sustainable economic energies. Second, encourage the efficient use of the resources. For example, agriculture waste, we have to using the agriculture waste and making the electricity. Some waste are be reused. It is very important. Focus on the long term properties rather than the short term gains. Like that, environmental sustainability. For example, to protect the natural resources. Natural resources, we have a natural resource in form of the water, in form of the soil, in form of the forest, in form of the biodiversity, and how we have to restore and protect. We have to protect via the sustainable development goals or using the solar energies. When we have to use the solar energies, because the carbon depthing is very important, the plantation forest are not be cutting down. We have to using the solar energies, then the soil and the water are be neat and clean. We have to green energy, developing the green energies, reduce the pollutions, greenhouse gases and climate change impacts, promote the renewable energy and eco-friendly technologies. So in these ways, we have to environmental sustainability developed. Next, the point is the social sustainability. How we have to क्या कहते हैं, demonstrate or the reserve or save the social sustainability. We have to save the social sustainability by ensure the equality, justice, and the human rights. We have to provide the access to education, provides to the health care and the decent work. This is very important. Then the principle of the sustainable developments, which is very important. What is the principle? How we have to sustain the developed, and what is the goals of the sustainable development goals? The first, integration of the equality, the polluters praise principles, and the resource efficiency. So that are the examples for the principle of the sustainable developments. Then when we have to using the renewable energy, for example, the solar, wind or the hydrocarbon, instead of the fossil fuels, we have to save the sustainable development, or we have to pursue the development for the sustainability. Water conservation through the rainwater, harvesting and the efficient irrigation. and waste management. The generally government are very क्या कहते हैं playing the very important role for developing via the water conservation and the waste management via the recycling, composting, and the reducing of the plastics. That is very important. So generally, we have to see in the renewable and the sustainability, unlike the fossil fuel, green energy resources are the naturally replacing and the essentially anexist sunlight, wind, and the water flow are the available continuously, making energy and the supply more secure. In the healthcare advantages, reduce the pollutions, means the fever, respiratory, and the many diseases are be decreases caused by the smog and the toxins. Clean energy and the green energy are be increased, and the acid rain and the some water pollutions are be decreases. So via these things, we have to see ki why the green energy, why we have to using the green energy, because generally questions are be arising ki why should people prefer the green energy. It is very important questions ki generally we have to ask the why we have to using the green energy. We have to using the green energy the because reducing the pollutions and the greenhouse emissions, improving the health and the environmental qualities, promote the economic growth and the job creators, provide the energy independence and the long term sustainability. This is using for the green energy. But why we have to using the green energy for the sustainable development? Because the development that meets the present need without the compromising future greenhouses in the integrated the economic growth, environmental protection, and the social well-being, guided by the principles like the resource affinity, integrational properties, and that is very important. Like the sustainable development goals, 7, sustainable development goal 7, which is called the clean energy, or the sustainable development 13 called the climate action, or the sustainable development 12 called the responsible consumptions, are very important for the links to the SDGs. Because whenever we have to use a link ki how the green energy are linked to the sustainable development goal, it is very important ki in which theme, which points are related to the environment. So there are the multiple challenges are be there. Key challenges, and if the challenges are be there, the opportunities also be there. Because when in the ancient time we have to go for the modernity, we have to make the artificial all things, artificial electricity, artificial क्या कहते हैं, developments. But whenever in the end or top of the development, we have to see कि it is the recycled. Recycled means कि excess of the energy are the very harmful. Excess of the development are very harmful. Like we have to see in the world war, if the everyone having the atomic power country, so everyone says ki I am the biggest, I am the biggest. They have to showing their power in the form of the wars. So excess of the energy, excess of the things are very harmful. So for the sustainability, it can be recreate, not be recreate. It can be transformed to the another forms. For example, if the waste are be there, it can be reform of the energy, and the wastage are be reused. It is, if we have to dumping somewhere, it is not be reused. It is the क्या कहते हैं, burden of the social society. So the challenges include the high initial cost, intimacy, and the technologies gap. Because the technology in the ancient time technologies and recent time technologies are be very उसमें. ठीक है. So lastly we have to conclude by it is the transmission of the renewable energy is crucial for the clean, healthy, and the sustainable future in causing the energy securities, economic growth, and the environmental preservations while supporting the global sustainable development goals. So it is very needful that we have the generation and we have to support the sustainable goals. Because worldwide UN developed this goals for uh, precaution on the saving of the earth, because if we have not saving this, the earth are not saved, and the in future society, in future persons are not saved. Thank you so much.
मॅडम बोलना करे आता बोलना का थँक यू मॅडम for the best presentation on the
Thank
sustainability
you so much.
developments. Since
Thank you so much, sir.
this topic is related to all and everyone should practice about the taking care of the energy utilization. You also said about the different renewable sources which are used. Technically, what are their limitations and what are importance of that? How they can affect on the environmental and how will you have to take care of that? So these all things are useful and keep the sustainable goals in future. They should be permanent one and energy should be utilized so that next generation we can able to utilize it. So we can't end the resources those which are available in the environment. Now I request all the participants to unmute themselves and they can discuss with our resource person, madam. Your camera is off, madam.
Yes, sir.
All participants are requested to unmute themselves and they can discuss with the resource person. Vinod Sonone sir have written that looking at the recent trends in the renewable energy resources, how can our farmers contribute to the generating electricity suitable to their own capacity and fulfill the challenges and also earn in the field of energy? हमारे जो खेती करते हैं जो शेतकरी वो कैसे हमारी एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करके अपने एनर्जी का यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं ऐसा उनका
So,
क्वेश्चन है
in the recent time, government are working
आप
on
अनम्यूट
these
कीजिए मैडम
projects. Whenever the
अनम्यूट
farmers,
अनम्यूट
क्योंकि
अनम्यूट
because the after farming अभी हम लोग देख रहे थे कि जैसे पराली की प्रोडक्ट्स बहुत ज्यादा हो रही थी, इसी तरीके से आफ्टर फार्मिंग द वेस्ट, एग्रीकल्चर वेस्ट आर द मेजर इशू for the any farmers. So the for resolving that problem, the government are working there, and after that they have to taking the regeneration of the that waste are reused as in the ethanol production. They have to reuse in the biomass composite, and the after the it can be making the biomass or the regeneration of the ethanol. The solid waste are all also used in making the bags and something else. So via this methods, farmers are क्या कहते हैं, they have to getting the many benefits, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Any other questions, sir?
मैं सूर्य प्रकाश व्यास बोल रहा हूँ जोधपुर से.
Yes, sir.
मैं मेरा ये नमस्कार जी. आपका प्रेजेंटेशन बहुत बढ़िया रहा, मैंने सुना. और इस बार मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि अभी तक जो परंपरागत जो ऊर्जा स्रोत है, जैसे ये परमाणु जो रिएक्टर है या पेट्रोल है, कोयला है और जो जल ऊर्जा जो है, इनके जो मतलब जितना वास्ट या बड़ी मात्रा में इनका उत्पादन से हम जो लाभ ले रहे हैं, अब नए जो सोर्स बन रहे हैं उनकी एक लिमिटेशन है और वो मतलब एक बहुत बड़े भाग के लिए वो पर्याप्त नहीं लगते हैं. सिर्फ एक छोटी मात्रा तक तो पूर्ति कर सकते हैं, तो उसके लिए तो अभी तक तो कुछ नहीं. और दूसरी जो छोटी छोटी है उनकी एक लिमिटेशंस भी है. जैसे पवन चक्की लगाते हैं तो उनमें इनिशियल कॉस्ट बहुत ज्यादा है, तो वो हर एक के लिए संभव नहीं है. इसी तरह सोलर प्लांट है तो उसमें जो है उसके लिए जो सिलिकॉन चिप्स बनानी है तो उसके लिए अपने को वो चाहिए, और उनको धोने के लिए भी रोज प्लेटें हैं तो उनके लिए पानी और चाहिए. तो हर समय ये संभव नहीं होता. तो इस बारे में क्या और कुछ आप अपनी तरफ से कह सकते हैं, या आगे क्या संभावना लगती है, इनको हम पूरी तरह रिप्लेस कर पाएंगे?
आज के
धन्यवाद।
समय पर क्या हो रहा है कि गवर्नमेंट ने ही आपके जितने भी डेवलपमेंट गोल्स हैं उनको प्रमोट करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट सबसे ज्यादा वर्क कर रही है। अगर आप किसी भी तरीके के सोलर एनर्जीज को प्रमोशन देखें तो गवर्नमेंट उसमें लगभग आपको 60% तक 40 to 60% तक उसमें आप लोगों को सब्सिडी प्रोवाइड करती है। तो सबसे पहली जो प्रॉब्लम आप लोग कह रहे हैं कि नहीं हाई कॉस्टिंग है, whenever you have to use the costing of that any entrepreneurship, so then you have to see कि 50% burden are going to the government। तो ओवरऑल आपके ऊपर जो बर्डन पड़ा वो एक पार्ट ही पड़ा। दूसरी चीज इसके अलावा जब आप एक बार उसमें कॉस्टिंग लगा देते हैं तो धीरे धीरे वो कॉस्ट आपको सपोर्ट करती है, लाइक इन द प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट। क्या आपने एक बार उसमें इन्वेस्ट किया और फॉर एग्जांपल अगर अभी आपने सोलर एनर्जी की बात की कि सोलर एनर्जी आपने लगाई और उसमें आपकी कॉस्टिंग पड़ी, सपोज करिए 2 लाख रुपए आपको कॉस्ट पड़ी, गवर्नमेंट ने उसमें 90,000 सपोर्ट किया तो 1,10,000 रुपए आपकी कॉस्ट पड़ती है। और अगर 1,10,000 रुपए आपकी कॉस्ट पड़ी तो उसमें वो आपको 3 साल से 5 साल तक के लिए वो बैटरी वर्क करती है। लेकिन जो पर मंथ आप लोग पावर हाउस को पे कर रहे थे उस पेमेंट से आपकी मिल गई। तो अगर आप ओवरऑल उस पेमेंट को देखें तो जो आपकी एक अपनी एनर्जी थी वो उससे ज्यादा की कॉस्टिंग की आपकी सेविंग हो जाती है। तो इसके साथ साथ में आप इसमें एक डेवलपर का वर्क भी कर लेते हैं कि अगर आपकी एनर्जी ज्यादा डेवलप होती है, फॉर एग्जांपल आप जोधपुर से हैं, राइट सर?
जी मैडम।
तो अगर आप जोधपुर से हैं तो आपके यहाँ का टेम्परेचर थोड़ा हाई रहता होगा।
सन सिटी इसीलिए कहते हैं 48 डिग्री।
जी जी। तो अगर आपके यहाँ का टेम्परेचर हाई है तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेशन पावर भी आपके यहाँ हाई हो जाती है। तो जितनी नीड आपके घर की होगी उससे ज्यादा पावर आपने जनरेट किया और जब आप उसको करते हैं तो वो एक तरीके से आपकी पेमेंट भी आपको प्रोवाइड करती है। इसीलिए आज के समय पे गवर्नमेंट इतनी ज्यादा सपोर्ट कर रही है। मैं मतलब देखिए किसी गवर्नमेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से नहीं बात कर रही हूँ, मैंने एक एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आपको बात कर रही हूँ कि whenever we have to invest somewhere we have to see कि what is the future expects in the particular field, कि अगर हमने उसमें लगाया तो लॉन्ग टर्म पे जाके क्या वो मुझे बेनिफिट देता है? तो वो आपको डेफिनेटली लॉन्ग टर्म पे बेनिफिट दे रहा है। कई बार ज्यादा भी देता है, कई बार आपके उसके बराबर भी देता है, मगर उससे कम नहीं देगा। जैसे अगर आप इन्वर्टर यूज करते हैं, इन्वर्टर की एक टाइम पीरियड तक आपकी जैसे 5 साल की गारंटी है, 3 साल की गारंटी है, तो अगर उसने उतनी गारंटी रखी है तो उतनी आपको सेविंग दे देता है। मगर यहाँ पर आपने जो किया और एक्सेस आपकी सेविंग हुई तो वो आपका पेमेंट भी आपका बन के आता है। तो गवर्नमेंट आपको सपोर्ट कर रही है। और आपने दूसरी बात की कि जैसे सिलिकॉन प्लेट्स आपकी बन रही हैं या जो भी आपकी प्लेट अभी इस पे हाई कॉस्टिंग जा रही है, रिसेंटली गवर्नमेंट उस पर भी वर्क कर रही है कि धीरे धीरे उसमें मिनिमाइज उसकी कॉस्टिंग में मिनिमाइज हो सके। उसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जांपल आपने देखा होगा कि हाई कॉस्टिंग आपकी क्या कहते हैं जीएसटी लगाई गई थी इनिशियली, मगर जैसे जैसे उन्होंने उस एम को अचीव कर लिया उन्होंने धीरे धीरे जीएसटी का रेट भी डाउन किया है।
धन्यवाद मैडम।
अगर अगर उपस्थित सहभागियों में से कोई डिस्कस करना चाहता है तो कर सकते हैं। ये डिस्कशन सेशन चल रहा है। फीडबैक लिंक इसमें दी वाली है मैसेज में, आप फीडबैक लिंक भरना है, जिनको सर्टिफिकेट आपको ग्रुप में मिल जाएंगे। याद से अभी फीडबैक लिंक उपलब्ध है तो भर दीजिए। धन्यवाद मैडम, आपका आज का ये स्पीच बहुत ही अच्छा रहा। हमारी इस सीरीज में आपका सहभाग रहा। भविष्य में भी आप जब कभी यहाँ कोई नया टॉपिक हमसे शेयर करना चाहते हैं तो आप बिन दिक्कत हमें मैसेज कीजिए। रिसोर्स पर्सन मिले तो ही हम ये चला सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे जो दर्शक है वो बहुत डेली ज्वाइन होते हैं और वो इच्छा करते हैं कि सर ये चालू रहे। कुछ देर बंद था फिर भी हमने चालू किया है सबके आग्रह की वजह से। और आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वीर पैराशूट तरफ से और हमारे सभी
थैंक यू सर।
दर्शकों से। धन्यवाद मैडम, धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच।